Bimla Devi, a 51-year-old female patient, a resident of Railway Colony, Paharganj, is a housewife and uh, presented with chief complaints of shortness of breath and restlessness since 2 days. History of restlessness patient was apparently all right 2 days ago when she started developing shortness of breath and restlessness while performing her household activities, which got relieved by rest. She also gives history of sensation of dryness of mouth of and upper river and some 2 to 3 choking episodes at night. She also gives history of snoring, and she also prefers to sleep in semi-recumbent position. Um, there is no other significant history like cough, sore throat, fever, chest pain, palpitations, hemoptysis. Um, Past history, ma'am. There is no similar history in the past, or she's not. She's a known case of hypertension and hypothyroidism since past 3 years, and on regular medication. There is no history of diabetes and no CAD, CVA, no history of gallstones. Uh,
Regarding the choking episode in the night,
yes, ma'am. 2 to 3 choking episodes.
how long she has been having the choking episode?
This has been since past 6 months, ma'am.
Only 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And how is her sleep rhythm during the day? Did you ask for that? Did she oversleep in the
No, ma'am,
daytime?
she doesn't have any daytime sleepiness. Yes, ma'am. And personal history, she's on mixed diet and she has put on weight since last 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
No significant drug allergies, and she also gives a history of sedentary lifestyle. Obstetric history, ma'am, she is gravida 3, para 3, 0 abortions, 3 live children. Her youngest child was born at her age of 30. All the deliveries were by normal vaginal delivery. She attained her menopause 2 years ago. Drug history, ma'am, she's on tablet telmisartan 40 mg OD and tablet eltroxin 50 mg OD, ma'am. General examination, patient is yes, ma'am,
Okay.
hypothyroid and hypertensive since past 3 years, ma'am.
Okay.
Patient is conscious, well oriented, heavy built, with central and gynoid distribution of fat, ma'am. There are no visible signs of anemia, jaundice. There's no clubbing, there's no cyanosis, pedal edema, or varicose veins. Vitals, ma'am, pulse rate was 68 per minute and regular, good volume, and recorded on her left radial pulse. Blood pressure was 140/80 and recorded in left arm in sitting position. Respiratory rate was 17 per minute and regular. SpO2 was measured and it was found to be 94% on room air. She was febrile and JVP was also not raised. Her weight was about 92 kilograms and her height is 160 centimeters. Her BMI was being calculated to be 35.9.
Okay.
And airway examination, ma'am. No visible maxillofacial abnormalities. Both the nostrils appear to be patent. No visible obstruction. Nasal septum is in the midline. Tongue is bulky. Mouth opening was 2-finger breadth. Dentition and oral hygiene was good. Malampati grade 3. Upper lip bite test was class 2.
What do you mean by Malampati grade 3? How did you examine her?
Ma'am, we'll ask the patient to open her mouth and her it should be at our eye level. We should protrude her tongue out. There shouldn't be any phonation. Her soft palate was visible, ma'am. It's that's why it's a grade 3. And the base of the uvula.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Short and thick neck, ma'am. There is mild restriction in her extension, neck extension. Higher mental distance was 5.5 centimeters. Thyromental distance was 6.5 and sternomental distance was 12.5 centimeters, ma'am. And respiratory system, ma'am. Patient was examined in sitting.
The neck circumference?
Neck circumference, it was 42 centimeters, ma'am.
Which category she comes in the?
Yes, ma'am. She comes in obesity grade class 2, ma'am.
You said a BMR or
BMI 35.9, ma'am.
35.9. So
obesity class 2. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Obesity class 1 30 to 35, ma'am. Class 2 35 to 40. Class 3 40
What
to
is the
50.
normal?
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
BMI?
Body mass index, ma'am, calculated with by dividing kgs weight in kgs by height in meters square, ma'am.
What is it called? The formula called?
Quetelet's index.
What is the other formula by which you can know the weight, the correct
Broca's
weight?
Broca's index,
That is
ideal body weight, ma'am. We will measure it with height in centimeters minus x is 100 in male and 105 in female, ma'am.
any other formula?
Lean body weight, ma'am.
No. No, we'll come to that later.
Yes, ma'am.
Having known the BMI, what is a
Yes.
normal BMI?
Normal BMI is 18.5 to 24.9, ma'am.
Then
Less than 18.5, it's underweight.
okay.
25 to 30 is overweight. 30 to 35 grade 1 means class 1 obesity. 35 to 40 is class 2 obesity. 40 to 50 class 3. Above 50 it's class 4.
Let's put it like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Obesity 1 will be 34 to overweight is 30
Over
to
25 to
see,
30, ma'am.
normal is 18.5.
18.5 to 24.9.
85 to 24 is 18.5 to 24 is
Normal weight, ma'am.
normal weight.
Yes,
24
ma'am.
to 29 is
Overweight.
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 So 24 to 29 will be obesity 1. 29 to 30 to 34 will be
Okay, ma'am. Obesity 2.
2. And 34 to 39, that is 40 will be obesity 3.
Okay, ma'am.
40 and above will be super obese.
Yes, ma'am.
50 kg per meter square will be super obese. Above 60 will be
Hyper
super
obese.
obese.
ठीक.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's the classification you go by.
ठीक है, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, you continue.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
to obesity later.
Yes, ma'am. Respiratory system, ma'am. Inspection trachea appears to be in midline. No visible distended neck veins or no visible surgical scars or swellings in the neck. Bilaterally equal movement of the chest. Palpation, ma'am. Trachea is in the midline. No palpable thyroid swellings or no palpable lymph nodes in the neck. Neck circumference was measured to be 42.5 centimeters. Chest expansion was equal on both the sides. Percussion, ma'am. Resonant note in bilateral supra and infraclavicular regions. Dull note in the mammary and back of the chest, ma'am. Auscultation, there were bilateral wheezes all over the chest. CVS inspection, no visible pulsations in the neck, no parasternal or suprasternal pulsations. Apical impulse couldn't be
What is
visualized.
the parasternal supersternal pulsation? What do you look for? Where do you see for parasternal heave? What does the parasternal heave indicate?
Hyperdynamic state, ma'am.
No. Hyperdynamic state, we will look for something else. Hyperdynamic state. Parasternal heave indicates what? Okay, go further.
No visible dilated veins. Palpation, apical impulses was hardly palpable. No palpable epigastric pulsations. Auscultation S1, S2 was audible. Abdominal examination, ma'am.
No.
Grossly protuberant abdomen. Distended abdomen was distended, ma'am, with no visible scars on no pulsations. Palpation, abdomen was soft, duffy. There was no organomegaly, no tenderness, no rigidity, or no hyperesthesia elicited. CNS, ma'am, patient is conscious, coherent, oriented in space. Sensory and motor systems were normal. No involuntary movements of the limbs. No speech was normal. No focal neurological deficit.
Why did you ask for involuntary movement of the limbs?
In motor examination,
What does it indicate in obesity? Involuntary movement of the limbs. See, always in case presentation, keep yourself
yes, ma'am.
pertaining to system, any abnormality, neurology.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
look for any neurological changes in the patient. That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't commit yourself exacting. In what way an involuntary movement is going to be of use?
Yes, ma'am.
Involuntary movement, you see involuntary, that's how you get caught in examination. Involuntary movement occurs where? What has been by titubation?
Parkinsonism.
Okay, proceed. Did she have any signs of hypothyroid? You said she is on hypothyroid.
Hypothyroid,
Did
ma'am.
she have any changes of hypothyroidism?
No, ma'am, no change. She's a hypothyroid, ma'am.
Yeah. Was her
No
skin
change.
dry, scaly? Was her voice changed? Anything pertaining to
No, ma'am.
hypothyroidism?
No, ma'am. Oh, she has gained weight. Weight gain was there.
Could be. Could you attribute that to hypothyroidism?
No, ma'am, not.
No. You don't think of hypothyroidism could be a reason for a weight gain?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you substantiate your point. You think hypothyroidism is not the reason for her to gain weight then? Okay, proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Provisional diagnosis, ma'am. Patient is 51-year-old female patient with class 2 obesity with hypertension, hypothyroid, and symptoms likely suggestive of congestive heart failure.
You said bilateral wheeze,
Yes, ma'am.
shortness of breath.
Yes, ma'am. And
And what
restlessness.
is? It
Restlessness.
was a pakka wheeze or it was it Ral's when you auscultated?
Yes, it was a wheeze.
It was a wheeze.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to obesity,
Yes, ma'am.
we have classified the obesity.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do people suddenly become obese?
Because of lifestyle changes, sedentary lifestyle, and high calorie intake.
So they're not able to, the sedentary lifestyle, and they're not expending the energy that's being
Yes, ma'am.
taken
Yes,
by them.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you enumerate any reason like syndromes associated with obesity?
Yes, ma'am. Metabolic syndrome,
Yes.
Cushing syndrome.
Yes. Even your hypothyroidism can be a reason,
Yes, ma'am.
endocrine reason.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, any other syndrome you can think of? Prader-Willi syndrome,
ठीक है, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Moore-Bailey syndrome,
Yes.
Moore-Bailey-Lawrence syndrome,
Yes, ma'am.
Carpenter syndrome, Armstrong
Yes.
syndrome. All this
Yes,
you
ma'am.
should have in mind. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And apart from that, what are the other reasons that could lead to obesity? Do you have any receptor level pathology which can lead to obesity? What exactly happens in obesity? What is that's been multiplied in the body? What has been deposited?
Adipose tissue,
Adipose
fat,
tissue. So
fat cells.
any receptor level that's present in the fat cells which will indirectly give signal to satiety center in the brain. Is two receptors called leptin and adenonectin, which are present in the adipose tissue, and ghrelin in the GIT.
ठीक है, ma'am.
And CYS 66-6. These four
Yes, ma'am.
These four chemical give indirect signals to the satiety center to say to stop eating.
Yes, ma'am.
Like this leptin and adenonectin are secreted from the adipose tissue, which is grossly increased here.
Yes, ma'am.
And ghrelin is present in the stomach and GI and intestinal system. As
Yes,
the
ma'am.
stomach gets inflated with food content, ghrelin will stop secreting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
another one along the intestines will be your CYP6. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
These two are there. And the abnormal obesity can also occur if the leptin receptors change in the leptin receptors, like mediators. These are called the mediators. The receptor mediators or in their configuration can also lead to obesity.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what are the two types of main this deposition of fat can occur as two, we attribute to two fruit-shaped obesity. What are these?
Central and peripheral.
Central obesity is?
Central obesity is in, mostly seen in males and peripheral in females. Central is around the thorax and abdomen, and peripheral is in the thighs and gluteal region.
Yeah, and which is more
And
prone
or
for your
central,
OSA or
central,
your cardiovascular?
central obesity is
Central.
more common. Yes, ma'am.
And you said this patient has shortness of breath.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the systemic changes in obesity like CVS, RS, airways?
CVS, there is increasing cardiac output, ma'am.
Okay.
With every 1 kg of increase in body weight, there is 20 to 30 ml of increase in cardiac output. And because of excess deposition of fat in abdomen, the diaphragm is pushed upwards. Then the respiratory volumes, the FRC, FVC total lung capacity is decreased.
What type of obesity is, what type of pathology, obstructive or restrictive?
Restrictive, ma'am.
You enumerate the changes that is in CV system. You finish that and come to respiratory. So
Yes,
what are
ma'am.
the changes you have in CVS?
CVS.
You said cardiac output increases then?
Yes, ma'am. Cardiac output increases. This causes increase in left ventricular. There is left ventricular hypertrophy because of increase in
You'll have a
cardiac
concentric
output.
or eccentric hypertrophy.
Eccentric hypertrophy.
Okay.
And then dilatation.
Yes.
Left ventricular dilatation. And this also further leads to left atrial hypertrophy and dilatation.
Yes. And ECG, what are the changes? What
ECG
will happen to
shows,
the pulmonary artery tension? That will also be increased.
yes, ma'am. Pulmonary artery, there is vasoconstriction due to hypoxia if prolonged OSA, and it also leads to cor pulmonale. In ECG, we see low voltage complexes, right bundle branch block, right axis deviation, prolonged QTC. Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, sorry. So then you have QTC. Why didn't QTC? Why did they have a bundle branch block?
Ma'am, because of connection, because the myocytes are deposited in cardiac tissue, there is deposition of fat cells,
Yeah.
which secrete adipokines, which also damage the neighboring fat means myocytes.
Can you be a bit louder?
Because of deposition of fat in the cardiac tissue, there is production of adipokines, which leads to myocyte degeneration.
See what happens in this condition. There's the increased deposition of fat along the SA node and the bundle of fist.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the conduction is
Conduction
disrupted.
Disrupted.
That's the reason why they go for the various type of blocks.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have left ventricular hypertrophy, left atrial dilatation,
Atrial.
widened QRS interval,
Yes, ma'am.
widened QRS interval, tall peaked P waves, and various type of blocks. Now coming to respiratory system, you start
Yes,
from upper respiratory system to the lungs.
Yes, ma'am. Upper respiratory system, there is fatty portion in the neck and lateral pharyngeal walls. The oral
Yes.
cavity also, there is the tongue also increases in size.
Okay.
And the parapharyngeal fat deposits, lateral
Okay.
pharyngeal, it leads to obstructive sleep apnea.
What is the main change in the upper airway? How is the normal upper airway to what it changes to?
There is decrease in
Can you be a bit louder, please? Hello?
yes, ma'am. There is fat deposit in the upper airway,
Can
oral
you be a bit
cavity.
louder? There's increased fat deposition along the pharyngeal walls.
Yes, ma'am.
So the elliptical, usually which is elliptical
ma'am.
shape, the anteroposterior diameter is increased.
Decrease.
And due to this deposition, the narrowing of the airway is there,
Yes,
upper
ma'am.
airway.
Aperture
Okay.
becomes
And
longitudinal.
along the respiratory system, what are the changes? What will happen to the lung complaints? What will happen to the chest wall complaints?
Lung complaints and chest wall decreased, ma'am. Decreased chest wall complaints.
I'm not able to hear you. Can you be a bit louder?
There is decreased chest wall complaints, ma'am.
There is?
Decrease in chest wall complaints. Lung complaints is decreased.
Increase in the
There is decrease in lung complaints. Yes, ma'am. Chest wall.
High fat deposition in the chest wall will lead to
Decrease in complaints.
decrease in complaints. So
Yes, ma'am.
what will happen to the FRC, ERV?
FRC, ERV, and TLC are decreased, ma'am.
Mm.
There's also decrease in closing volume.
Yes. So why are we bothered about that? If FRC becomes closer to the closer volume,
Yes, ma'am.
closing volume.
Patient desaturates easily.
Yes.
The apnea time, safe apnea time is decreased.
The apnea time is decreased. We are bothered because the FRC is the one which gives oxygen to the patient during apneic spells.
Yes,
That is grossly reduced in obesity.
Yes, ma'am.
So the chances of them going into hypoxia is very quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Desaturating and going into hypoxia is very good, very fast.
Yes, ma'am.
And what are the other changes? What will happen to? What will happen because of this changes? What will happen to the VAQ ratio? Ventilation perfusion mismatch will occur, which is usually 0.8.
Yes, ma'am.
So what will happen? VAQ mismatch occurs. So what will happen to the shunts?
This is intrapulmonary shunting. Intrapulmonary shunting. Yes.
Yeah. Can you be a bit louder, Rajendra?
Yes, ma'am. There is intrapulmonary shunting.
Okay.
And hypoxemia. And
the chance for hypoxemia is
there is
quick.
Hypoxemia. Yes, ma'am. Quick. And there is pulmonary artery constriction and pulmonary artery hypertension.
Yes.
Which leads to cor pulmonale.
Then what are the other changes? We have said about the CVS, RS, airway.
Yes, ma'am.
What will happen to the liver function and renal function?
There is fat deposits in liver.
Okay.
And deranged liver function. Liver function test. But derangement in liver function is not proportionate to the obesity.
Okay.
There may be gallstones also. Chance of gallstones.
There may be
Gallstones, ma'am. Gallbladder calculi.
It may be.
Gallstones, gallbladder calculi, GB calculi.
Oh, can you be a bit louder, please?
GB calculi, ma'am, gallbladder stones.
Okay.
Yes,
There'll be cholelithiasis and gallbladder
Yes.
stone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then
Then
what will happen to
there
GFR?
is- GFR is increased, ma'am.
Okay.
Renal blood flow
What
is
will be
increased.
the state of the
GFR is in-
coagulability in obese individual?
There is polycythemia, hypoxia-induced polycythemia, hypercoagulable, ma'am. Increased
Yes,
chance of
hypercoagulable
DVT.
state.
Hypercoagulable, increased chance of DVT.
No.
In GI, there is decreased gastric motility and the gastric fluid volume is increased. There
Okay.
is
So in GIT, you should think of them as a patient of full
high
stomach.
risk of, yes, ma'am, high risk of
Then
aspiration.
what is metabolic syndrome?
Metabolic syndrome, ma'am, there is insulin, insulin resistance.
There will be type 2 diabetes,
uh,
insulin
yes,
resistance. Then
yes,
what are the other features?
hypersomnolence,
Uh,
hypertriglyceridemia,
pardon?
hyperlipidemia.
Hypertriglyceridemia, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, hyperlipidemia.
What else they'll have? They'll have hypertension where the diastole will be more than 110
Yes,
in a
ma'am,
single sitting, and fasting sugar level will be
greater than 110.
greater than 110,
Yes,
and they'll also have neck circumference
greater than 43.
greater than 43.
43. Yes,
What is the waist circumference we normally measure, which we say the waist is to the weight where you want the patient, and weight is the height proportion you want the patient.
waist ratio, waist greater than 40 inches in females and greater than 43 in males.
Waist circumference greater than
40 inches in males and greater than 43 in females.
and actually you can tell it in centimeters. Weight waist circumference greater than 90 in males, greater than 80 in females,
Yes, ma'am.
where you want them. They'll definitely get into the problem is where the male is more than 102 centimeters and female is 88 centimeters.
Yes, ma'am.
And the waist is to the waist is to the weight proportion should be 0.9 in male and 0.8 in female.
Yes, ma'am.
Then waist is to height will be hello. Are you presenting?
Rajendra is suddenly logged out, it seems. He is trying to log in back.
What happened?
Dr. Rajendra is suddenly logged out. He is trying to log in back.
Okay.
Maybe phone discharge.
Yeah. Actually, Dr. Rajan, you can log out and log in. Actually, his system has suddenly had some system fault and he's trying to log in again. He's on the line, madam. Sorry for the interruption, sir. He's logging in again. Now, madam, can you please ask some questions for the other PGs available in the group?
Yeah, the PGs are there?
Yeah, the other PGs are available, madam.
Okay. What is sleep apnea? What is OSA?
Obstructive sleep apnea.
What is sleep OSA? What is OHA? Anybody there?
It's obstructive hyperventilation syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah. OSA is
When does it occur?
obstructive sleep apnea, ma'am.
How do you define it?
Ma'am, in OSA there is a classical stop bang, what we call. There is a snoring, which is loud enough to be heard from a vaulted room. Then, ma'am, there is tiredness. Then the neck circumference is more than 43 in males and 41 in females, ma'am. And
No, I want to know just sleep apnea syndrome. When do you call it? How do you call it? How do you define it?
ma'am, it's a syndrome which is having many symptoms. The patient is feeling sleepy is not able to sleep properly in the night. So there is daytime sleeping, there is snoring, there is a hypertension, there is a tiredness. It's a syndrome of many symptoms, ma'am.
No, doctor, I want the definitions, like what it is. When the patient goes to sleep, there's a sudden cessation of sleep for 10 seconds.
Yeah, ma'am.
About 4 to 5 episodes.
Within
the hours of sleep, that is gone into apnea for a period of 10 seconds.
Yeah, ma'am.
And that occurs about 3 to 4 times in the period of sleep. And the saturation goes down to 4% of the initial level.
Okay, ma'am.
This is obstructive. Simple definition is cessation of sleep for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Where the patient has such episode 3 to 4 times during the hour of sleep, and saturations fall down by 4% to the original level.
Okay.
So you've got both apnea and hypoapnea and that.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is hyperventilation syndrome or Pickwickian syndrome?
There will be. Madam,
Anybody can answer.
in hypoventilation syndrome, there will be reduced respiratory drive in obesity patients without there won't be any background COPD, asthma, or any lung disorders. There will be reduced oxygen levels in the blood, that is PaO2 less than 65 mmHg, and increased CO2 levels.
This classically occurs when a patient is awake. As you said, that this mild hypercarbia.
Yes, ma'am.
And the patient's BMI is more than 45 kg per meter square.
Okay.
Where the patient goes into sleep suddenly and they will be hypercarbic, hypoxic and hypercarbic.
Okay.
What is stop bank? And how much of score you start evaluating the patient? What is stop bank?
Stop bank.
Ma'am, it's a screening questionnaire for the diagnosis of obstructive sleep apnea, ma'am.
Yeah.
S for snoring, ma'am.
Yeah.
T for tiredness.
Yes.
O for observed choking or gasping during sleep.
Yes.
And P for high blood pressure. B
Yes.
for BMI greater than 35 kg per meter square. And then
A for age
A for age
greater
greater than 50, age greater than 50, and neck circumference greater than 43 in males and greater than 41 in females.
average. Keep it average as 40, more than
40.
40 centimeters. Then G for
Yes, ma'am. G for gender, male gender.
male usually.
Yes.
Okay.
If we
Now,
have at
when
least,
we talk about apnea, hypopnea, what
ma'am,
is how do you grade the apnea, hypopnea index?
apnea hypopnea index episodes of at least greater than 10 seconds of apnea in an hour. If there are
What are
five
the three grades?
mild, moderate, and severe, ma'am. Mild 5 to 15 is mild, 15 to 30 is moderate, greater than 30
Yeah.
is severe.
Why do you think of all this? Why do we think of all this? Why are we giving importance to these things?
Because during
What is this? All this going to ultimately lead us to?
desaturation, ma'am, during post-op
Yes.
period or
Anytime
during
the patient
induction,
might desaturate, even before you
desaturation.
could start your maneuvers.
Yes, ma'am. During
Okay.
induction or during post-op. Yes, ma'am.
How do you calculate the risk stratification?
Means great if more
Rajendra
than
Prasad,
3.
you're back?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't get tensed up. Answer. How do
Yes, ma'am.
you think, how do you
If there are
what are the things you see in risk stratification?
more than 3 of the stop bank, if the score is more than 3, then there is risk of
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
desaturation and hypoxemia. If there are
Yes.
if the score is more than 5, we should definitely use CPAP before we should start CPAP,
Yes.
positive airway pressures.
Yes. What are the other things? The patient is being greater than 50 BMI kg per meter square, greater than
Yes,
50
ma'am.
years of age,
Yes, ma'am. That's
hypertension.
obesity surgery mortality risk stratification score. If BMI greater than 50 or if the male gender or age greater than 50 and
Yeah.
hypertension, risk for pulmonary embolism. We can classify the
Whether we
patients
have
into
cerebral
3 classes.
thromboembolic phenomena,
Yes, ma'am.
filter, venocable filter,
Yes, ma'am.
and pulmonary hypertension,
Yes, ma'am.
and whether it's been given anticoagulants.
Yes, ma'am.
The patient has got cardiovascular changes, as you enumerated, respiratory changes, where FRC is grossly reduced,
Yes, ma'am.
which is not going to help you out in the period of apnea. And because of high fat content and
Yes, ma'am.
the obesity, what are
Yes,
all
ma'am.
the problems you anticipate before surgery? On the table, what are the precautions you take? And what are the pre-op, what is that maneuver you take up to reduce all the CVS, RS, and the symptoms? Pre-op, what is that you can advise the patient to keep? He has got a severe sleep apnea syndrome. What do you ask them to keep in the night?
The pulse ox monitoring, ma'am, overnight pulse ox monitoring, and
Huh? Yeah, tell me, Rajendra. Tell.
yes, ma'am. And we
In
ask
the
the
night,
patient to
we can
use
ask him to have
CPAP.
CPAP machine.
CPAP. We can ask him to use CPAP, ma'am.
Yeah, 5 to
Positive airway.
10 centimeters of water for a period
Yes,
of,
ma'am.
on an average, 2 to 6 weeks pre-operative. They are going planning for a surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
But your case is purely a medical case.
Yes, ma'am.
CPAP, 1 to 2 weeks will. What are the changes you get? 1 to 2 weeks of CPAP will have. The respiratory drive will improve.
Yes, ma'am.
2 to 4 weeks, the blood pressure and heart rate will improve.
Yes, ma'am.
And 6 weeks of CPAP will improve the pharyngeal space, which has been altered, the upper airway and the Laryngeal airway which has been narrowed, will widen a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the things you see in a polysomnography and how it is conducted?
The eye movements, ma'am, electrooculogram, the cardiac activity
Yes.
by ECG, and electroencephalography.
Yes.
We also check for the periods of desaturation during sleep,
Okay.
limb movements, and
So
cardiac
pulse
arrhythmia.
oximeter, then
Yes, ma'am. Any seizure activity?
EEG is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Electrooculogram for
Arrhythmia.
your eye, NRM and REM sleep.
Yes, ma'am. ECG for any.
Electromyogram.
Yes, ma'am.
ECG,
EMG
EOG,
also for the.
EEG, and electromyogram along with your pulse oximeter.
Yes, ma'am.
It should be conducted in a separate room where no disturbance is there,
Yes, ma'am.
and do a overall study for the full time of sleep is to wakefulness.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now coming to your preparation for a patient having done CPAP as a preoperative indication. Suppose
Yes,
it's for a surgery.
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
improved the status
Yes, ma'am.
and you have seen them in the pre-op room. And
Yes, ma'am.
now, how do you calculate what is the plan of anesthesia? Suppose he's coming for a bariatric surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
In case you're planning to take up for a small thigh lipoma, if you're planning for spinal, what is the
Yes, ma'am.
precaution you take? And pain relief for such patient, what do you plan pre-op?
Ma'am, OT table should be according to, depending on the patient's body weight, we have to arrange the OT table.
No.
And
Now, what is ideal body weight? What is lean body weight?
ideal body weight is high calculated with Broca's index, ma'am. Height minus
Okay.
height in centimeters minus 100 for males and height minus 1 height for females.
And lean body weight will be ideal body weight into 20 to 30%.
Yes, ma'am. Minus the fat, minus body fat. Total body weight minus body fat.
Minus the body fat.
Body fat,
Now,
yes, ma'am.
having seen him
If you have,
it's another test you can do is sagittal abdominal diameter by CT or MRI to
Yes,
know the
ma'am.
authentic fat content and distribution. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then such a patient has come.
Yes, ma'am.
Suppose
If you are,
for a regional technique, what are the investigation? Overall investigation, what do you do? After
yes, ma'am.
that, if it's going to be for a GA, what are the precautions you take? If it's going to be a regional, what are the precautions you take? And if you're planning to take up a condition for GA, what is the lung recruitment you do post-operative?
we should post-operative chest physiotherapy, ma'am.
No, pre-op, what are the investigations you do?
Pre-op, all the routine investigation, complete blood picture, LFT, KFT, ECG, coagulation profile.
Echocardiography.
Yes, ma'am. Urine examination and all. And special investigation, thyroid function test, polysomnography.
You should also do a lipid
Echocardiography. Echocardiography, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And we have to arrange the proper table if we don't, if there's no
pre-op investigation we left you. What else you take? ECG, echo over lung.
ECG today.
Won't you do a spirometry?
Pulmonary function test.
Pulmonary function test you have to do, it's a must.
Yes, ma'am.
Then
Yes.
for coagulation, you have not mentioned anything.
Yes, ma'am. Coagulation profile.
Coagulation profile, APT and
PTINR, BTCT.
PTINR and APTT. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Suppose this patient is too obese, say around 190 kgs. Imagine you said 92, it was 192
yes,
kgs.
Yes,
and she's come for a bariatric surgery, a sleeve gastrectomy.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the precautions you take in the OT?
OT, we have to arrange 2 tables side by side.
Yes.
we
Good.
should use a plank in the lower half of the table, and
Okay.
appropriate padding should be arranged,
Okay.
and a ramping up position for intubation.
Ramping up
We will,
position. Before that, you put a venous stocking for the patient.
yes, ma'am.
Venous stocking, and is that easy
Is
to
it-
get a line for these people? How do you
Yes, ma'am.
make you have to at least have minimum 2 lines.
Yes, ma'am. IV line,
So,
as a central line is better.
okay.
Appropriate size
Ramping position.
BP cuff, appropriate
How do you
size.
check the ramping position? How do you check the ramping position? It's correct.
Ma'am, external auditory canal should be in line with the sternal notch.
Good. Then after ramping, what do you do?
Ma'am, we should keep the difficult airway cart.
What is the choice of pre-medication?
We should avoid opioids. Aspiration prophylaxis should be given half an hour to 40 minutes before.
Yeah. What is the other dose you can give 1 hour before surgery? Because it's you go anticipate a problem as full stomach. So
Yes,
you have to
ma'am.
give a H2 blocker.
H2 blocker, proton pump inhibitors, and non-particulate antacids, sodium citrate.
No, you don't have to give non-particulate antacids to patients. It's enough you give a H2 blocking agent 1 hour
ma'am.
before surgery.
Yes, ma'am. Proton pump inhibitors.
And then your choice of pre-medication will be IV,
Yes, ma'am. Midazolam
midazolam, what dose?
at 1 mg per.
See, when you give the drug, this drug, which is the only drug which you give as per the total body weight.
Scolin, ma'am. Succinylcholine.
Saxa. But this midazolam, how much you give? What is the dose and how much you'll give? Hello?
Hello, Dr. Rajendra, you're there? You're not able to hear you.
Dr. Rajendra?
Hello, Dr. Rajendra?
Anybody can answer. What is your choice of pre-medication in obese patients? Yeah, Rajendra Prasad. Hello? Yes, doctor.
Dr. Faizana, can you answer?
Anybody can answer. Hello?
Again, the system is not.
Any
but he
PGs
is
can
on
answer.
the screen. Yeah. Dr. Mariam? Dr. Mariam? You can answer, Dr. Mariam. Choice
Sir,
of pre-medication in an obese patient.
the midazolam 0.05.
Yeah, how much you give? You give it as per the ideal body weight or based on
Total
lean
body
body
weight.
weight?
It is lean body weight.
Okay, what is the dose you give?
0.05 mg
The
per kg.
Huh?
0.05 mg per kg.
Okay, then along with it, what is the anti-sialagogue you give?
Glycopyrrolate.
Okay, the
0.05.
patient is
Dr.
in
Rajendra,
ramp position.
There is
any
some
problem with
network
your
issue, I
system?
think. I couldn't hear
What
you.
are the emergency
You
intubation
can,
trolley you
I
keep?
couldn't hear, sir, the voices.
yeah, you can log out and log in again. There is
Again,
some
sir.
connectivity issue in the area. There is some internet
Yes, sir.
issue.
ठीक है, I'll check.
You can
Sir, can I connect from my phone then?
Yeah.
I'll
In
connect
your
from my
mobile.
phone. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll
please
send the
do
link
connect
again.
from your
Yes, sir.
phone. Dr. Maria,
Yes, ma'am.
what are the emergency trolley you keep for intubation? No, it's knowing it's going to be a difficult intubation case.
I'll keep laryngoscope of laryngoscope sizes, different sizes. I'll keep blade, different blades, Miller, Macintosh, and even other blades. I'll keep ready, ma'am, and of different
What
sizes.
other blades? McCoy, then
McCoy, Macintosh, and even
then what else?
then I'll keep LMA of different sizes. I'll keep, ma'am.
Okay.
Airway, nasal and oral airway. Oral airway I'll keep.
Yes.
Ready. Then I'll make ready of for difficult intubation tubes of different sizes and video laryngoscope or even
Do you have a fiber optic? You can also have a fiber optic if it's available in your center.
And bougie stillet.
Bougie, light band stillets, then
Ventilating bougie.
ventilating bougie.
Fiber
Can
optic
have the
intubation.
cooks. Stillet, then what else? What is the advantage in ramping the patient?
Ma'am, patient oral pharyngeal and laryngeal access comes in play, ma'am. So intubation will be easy.
Not only intubation is easy, the FRC will also improve in giving a header
Yes,
position.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What is the choice of induction agent?
Ma'am, propofol, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am,
Why not
propofol.
Thiopentone?
Ma'am, propofol relaxes the
Yeah. Yeah, tell me, Dr. Mariam.
yes, ma'am. Propofol relaxes the pharyngeal muscles, ma'am, and it decreases the stress response, ma'am.
Is that all? What are we concerned about? The fat. Thiopentone gets deposited in the fat no, once we give it.
Yes, ma'am.
And it takes longer time to come out of to get eliminated also. Propofol doesn't get much attached to fat, and
hence shorter.
Okay. Dr. Rajendra, you have come back?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Dr. Rajendra?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
You've come back?
Yes, ma'am. I'm back. Hello.
Dr. Rajendra,
Just
you can be a
tell me
little
the
bit
choice
more
of
loud. We are
induction
able to
agent.
hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Pre-medication, Dr. Mariam has said midazolam and glycopyrrolate. Your
Yes,
choice of
yes.
induction agent. What will you choose? What is a choice of depolarizing or a non-depolarizing muscle relaxant?
Ma'am, we use Scolin, 1 mg per kg.
Are you
Depolarizing.
there, Dr. Rajendra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We prefer succinyl choline for depolarizing and atracurium or cisatracurium in non-depolarizing.
What is the choice of non-depolarizing the agent?
Atracurium.
Anything else where you can bring it in case you want to reverse it fast, you can get out of the system. Rocuronium.
Cisatracurium.
It's available in your center?
Yes, ma'am, it's available.
Yeah. What is the choice of induction agent you use in your center for a gross obese patient?
We use propofol, ma'am.
Propofol.
Yes, ma'am.
Dose?
Propofol 2 mg per kg. Hello.
Can you be a bit more louder?
Hello.
Your choice of non-depolarizing muscle relaxant?
Atracurium, ma'am. Hello.
Dr. Rajendra, can you be a little bit louder, please? You can keep
Dr.
your phone
Rajendra
closer.
Prasad, I'm not able to hear you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Ma'am.
Dr. Rajendra Prasad, can you be a bit louder? Okay, what is the choice of, anybody can answer, what is the choice of non-double? Will you give saxamitinium in this case or not? Anybody there, Kamakshi?
Yeah, Dr. Kalyani, can you answer? Dr. Kalyani? Dr. Kalyani from Bombay?
Anybody there?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Maria?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the choice of induction agent? You said it's propofol. Then followed by?
Ma'am, succinyl choline or rocuronium, ma'am. Most probably I'll use succinyl choline, ma'am.
Okay, succinyl choline, which you will calculate as per the
Total body weight, ma'am. 1.5 to 2.5 mg per kg.
What are the pre-check you do? You're able to ventilate, hold the mask. Would you check that?
Yes,
Hold the
ma'am.
mask, ventilate, you're able to ventilate.
Yes, ma'am. After giving propofol, I'll check whether I'm able to ventilate. Once I'm able to ventilate, then I'll ask my assistant to give succinyl choline, ma'am.
Okay.
Once fasciculations get stopped, then I'll go for intubation, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll use a short handle for intubation, ma'am, because patient
Okay.
has a broad chest, so I'll use a short handle with a 3 or 4 size blade, depending on patient.
And you can also try video laryngoscopy, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
See, track video laryngoscopy. Always have a LMA beside you.
Yes, ma'am.
A bit of any difficulty, you can have a intubating LMA into it, and through that you can intubate.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the first choice in keeping in emergency will be a fiber optic, then your C-track, then your all the type of LMAs and all the type of tubes. And now, what is the choice of non-deporting muscle relaxant?
I'll use atracurium or cisatracurium.
Okay. Okay, you're planning to reverse.
Yes, ma'am.
Will what is that thing you check for whether you can start giving your neostigmine and glycopyrrolate?
Ma'am, I'll check for oxygenation and ventilation, ma'am.
Okay.
Then I'll check consciousness level of the patient. Then
Yes.
I'll look for muscle tone, ma'am.
TOF should be at what? TOF should be at least minimum?
More than 0.9, ma'am.
In obese, 0.7 is itself is adequate. You get till 0.7 is adequate.
Yes, ma'am.
So you will slowly reverse.
Yes, ma'am.
But patient tend to have mild, very slow in coming out of your effects. So how do you do a lung recruitment in these patients? See, lung recruitment is by giving PEEP to the patient to prevent the airway from collapsing.
Yes, ma'am.
There's 3 methods you can follow. One is you keep the tidal volume 8 to 10 ml per kg and slowly raise your PEEP to 30 to 40 centimeters of water and bring it back to 5 to 10 centimeters of water.
Yes, ma'am.
Ventilate for some time. One maneuver. Second maneuver, you keep the PEEP at for 30 to 40 centimeters in a higher level and try to increase the tidal volume from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, like that. And the third method is tidal volume is kept constant. You raise the PEEP to 30 to 40 centimeters of water for a few minutes and then bring it down to 5 to 10 centimeters of water. This will prevent the peripheral airway from collapsing.
Yes, ma'am.
So 3 methods. One is tidal volume constant. Start from a higher PEEP to come back to normal to 5 to 10 centimeters. The second method is keep the PEEP higher level, then alter the tidal volume according to that. The third method, tidal volume is kept constant, 6 to 10 ml per kg body weight. Raise the PEEP to 30 to 40 centimeters and bring it to for a few seconds or minutes and bring it back to 5 to 10 centimeters of water. In case you plan to give a pain relief for this patient, what are the methods you take? IM is ruled out because the variability in absorption. So what are the things you can suggest? Suppose it's a bariatric surgery, what can you keep inside the abdomen?
Infiltration.
Yeah, you can do an infiltration, keep an infiltration catheter connected to a local anesthetic with fentanyl mixed in that, and you can give it on an hourly basis. Only few centers have patient-controlled analgesia, not everywhere. Then other method is epidural might be very difficult in this patient. Then other things, what you can give? Can you give a
multimodal?
Can you give Dexmed drip IV?
Yes, ma'am.
IV maintenance with Dexmed, or even your propofol can be given. Slow IV, continuous IV, and monitor the patient. Now, suppose you're going to take up this obese individual on a spinal. Can you do it with a normal spinal needle?
No, ma'am. Spinal needle, long spinal needle should be made.
Large spinal needles have to be used. You check for coagulation profile, and then you do the spinal anesthesia. Now, another thing, having done the lung recruitment, one thing we fear is the DVT. So how do you manage DVT post-operatively? Pre-op, you put her on a DVT socks to prevent any thromboembolus from traveling up. And post-operative, what are the drugs you give to prevent thromboembolic phenomena for next 2 weeks?
Low molecular weight heparin can be started.
Yes. How much you give, how do you give, then when you can switch over to oral anticoagulant.
Low molecular weight heparin, subcutaneous can be given, ma'am. Point.
How much is the dose? If it's enoxaparin, you can give a single dose of 20, and if the body weight is more than nearing 120 milligram twice daily. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you again monitor. What do you monitor when you put the patient on anticoagulants?
Coagulation profile should be monitored, ma'am.
Should be
APTT.
monitored. And if you're planning to start orally, what are the dosage drug of choice?
Warfarin.
Warfarin. How much you give? How will you give? How much you give orally? Okay, read it up. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Rajendra Prasad, unfortunately, I couldn't keep in touch with you. I thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to be here this morning.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamachi.
Now I
Thanks
request
a lot.
Professor Nagasamy sir to just say a few words, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. This is obesity is a very important topic right from your practical exam point of view as well as your theory point of view. You should have a very precise and clear concept of answering your questions, both formats of examination. When it comes to obesity in clinical case scenario, the obesity patient may be kept as a short case or a long case, depending upon the type of surgery. Obesity patients may come for primarily treatment of obesity. Nowadays, popularly for bariatric procedures, not only for weight reduction but also for control of diabetes, which happens in an uncontrolled fashion with any amount of insulin, their blood sugar does not come under control, and they have found that doing bariatric surgery and reducing the weight of the patient completely cures even the diabetes for the patient. So, in addition to the weight loss, treatment of diabetes in obese patients is also another indication for bariatric surgery nowadays. So there is one angle of we meeting the obese patients for coming for bariatric procedures. Another angle is obese patients coming for a non-bariatric surgery or an incidental surgery, which may be in the form of a liposuction, plastic procedure, or a gynecomastia reduction, or fracture, orthopedic procedures. So many things they can come, which are all incidental procedures. But whatever may be the type of procedure they are coming, I always remember the management using a mnemonic. I'm very fond of mnemonics, so I always remember that by remembering the mnemonic, a prime minister at a public function. The A stands for airway. Airway forms the most important part of management. So, your thorough preoperative airway assessment is made. And in this airway assessment, we have to see whether the patient is already suffering from what is discussed OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, is a very important complication. This can happen in especially morbid and severe obese patients. So if they have been diagnosed with OSA and they are already on treatment with either a CPAP or CPAP machine, that should be brought to the hospital when they come for surgery, and it should be used as early as possible in the immediate post-operative period. The second point is the airway should be thoroughly assessed whether it will be manageable with the regular conventional injection of IV medication, followed by a relaxant, followed by laryngoscopy, whatever type of scope you want to use and intubation. If that is not possible or anticipated difficulty is there, it is always safer to tell the patient and get the consent and do an awake fiber optic intubation. So the airway management, you have to remember three things. One is usage of CPAP or BiPAP before for curing or treating OSA. Second is to plan for awake intubation if it is an anticipated difficult intubation. And if you feel that the airway can be managed, first make the position correctly and try a mask ventilation if the patient is breathing spontaneously. See whether the bag is filling up when the saturation is maintaining. Always have a good assistant with you during intubation in a severe or RBOP inspection. And with infection with the IV agents and then do the intubation. So this airway management forms the most important part of this management. Second is positioning. In positioning, you have to use the ramp position as already discussed, almost about 30-degree head up tilt with the support under the not only the occiput but also upper shoulder and back should be there so that the external auditory meatus comes in line with the suprasternal notch. That is the alignment that the examiners want you to answer. By doing the ramp position, you are bringing the external auditory meatus in line to the suprasternal notch. And then proceed with the intubation. And other parts of positioning is keeping the arms, whether to keep them abducted or erected, and whether the pressure points are properly taken care of. Because these patients in long hours of surgeries may even develop the bed sores or skin sores because of the pressure. So all padding should be there, given properly, and if needed, extra large cables should be ordered, and then patients should be securely placed in the table so that they don't slip off, especially when you want to do a laparoscopic procedure and you want either a Stuttenberg or a head up tilt. You should make sure that the patient is strapped well to the table so that they don't slip off. The third point is monitoring. There are a lot of difficulties in monitoring in obese patients. First of all, your BP cuff, unless you have the extra large size cuff, you may not be able to measure the non-invasive BP. And so, if you don't have that indicator, you can use the forearm with the normal cuff BP. You can tie it in the forearm and measure the BP, which will also be equally effective. But in cases where the BP reading with non-invasive techniques are not good, you have to think of putting an arterial line to measure the BP, especially in major procedures where a lot of fluid shifts may happen. Then the fourth point is what agents you are going to use. So examiners immediately ask you about the total body weight, ideal body weight, and lean body weight. These are the three weights that you have to remember, which according to which only you are going to select the drugs which you are going to use. Some drugs are given on total body weight basis, some on ideal body weight basis, and some on lean body weight basis. Most of the relaxants are given on total body weight, but the induction agents and the analgesics, opioids, and benzodiazepines, they are all given only on ideal body weight and not on total body weight. Otherwise, you will be causing too much of respiratory depression. And the technique has to be chosen well in advance, whether you are going to do a regional or whether you are going to do a DA or whether you are going to do a combined regional and DA, that also has to be planned in advance. And with regard to inhalation agents, ideal technique for bariatric surgery, they recommend desflurane nowadays because of the quick injection and recovery. More than sevoflurane, desflurane is the agent of choice for morbidly obese patients coming for bariatric. And the same yardstick can be used for the other surgeries also. With regard to the pain control, you have to rely on multimodal analgesic techniques. Don't rely on opioids alone, because especially patients who are also having OSA, it is better not to use opioids in too much quantity so that we will end up with a respiratory depression post-operatively. And lastly, fluid. Fluid is a very, very important part of management. So the fluid should be given only on ideal body weight basis and not on total body weight. Otherwise, we will be overloading the patient. If they already have some pulmonary hypertension and restrictive lung disease, you may cause a further overload in the pulmonary system at the end of the surgery. So fluid should be given only on ideal body weight basis. So this is how I remember a Prime Minister, A for airway, P for position, M for monitoring. A Prime Minister at A for agents, T for techniques, public function, pain control and fluids. So if you remember these 7 points, you will be able to answer all the questions. And that's what I would like to contribute for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It was a wonderful summarization of the very, very important topic for our postgraduates. Now I request our Professor Vasanthi Madam to add on some more points, sir. Vasanthi Madam, please.
Kamakshi, thank you very much for that, but I'm really not very prepared for this today. And I think most of the topic has been covered, and there's nothing to say when Nagasamy says something. After he says something, there's absolutely nothing for us to say. But the thing is, what I would like the postgraduates to do is to be more attentive and quicker at understanding whatever is saying and talking. I think that will make a lot of difference. And don't keep dragging whatever is being that they keep dragging. There is no point. Like, if you know something, say it. If you don't say it, don't know it, don't say I don't know it. And don't try to say something which is really not very relevant, and then go back and ask them to ask. For one question and one answer, there seems to be one question and 10 answers, and then following that, another 10 questions are coming through. And you are, beating around the bush, saying the same thing over and over again. So I think that needs to change. So that's what I would say. The rest of it, of course, we will discuss as and when the cases go on.
Yes, madam. Thank you. I fully agree with you.
Your video is not on.
I don't want to put the video on, sir. You'll be shocked to see me because I'm not at all prepared.
Long time since we saw you. That's why I opened the video to see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can see me, sir. Yeah. Camera is not available. Okay. Sorry, sir. Camera is not available, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now I request Dr. Dinesh Sahu to just. Hello. Am I audible, Dr. Dinesh Sahu? DK Sahu? Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. DK Sahu to add on something more to this session. We need more participation and more interesting presentations from our postgraduates.
Hey, good morning, Nagaswamy sir. And Kamakshi, actually, sorry, I was late. I joined late due to season. So, as expected, there case, so there will be in-depth discussion, I hope. So thank you, sir. Thank you. Next time I will join.
Thank you, Sahu. Now, Dr. Sushil Krishnan, I request you to just say a few words about the session and encourage our postgraduates for more participation.
Thank you very much.
Your network is having some issues.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's fine. Now it's okay.
Yeah, if you can hear me now, right. So I'm Dr. Krishnan, and I'm at hospital. And I'd like to thank Dr. Rajashree ma'am once again for taking out this trouble to do an extensive examination of the students. Unfortunately, technical issues were one problem. And also that we'll have to counsel him a little also because Dr. Vasanthi madam's point was very well taken that he's dragging out the thing rather than if you do not know something, you can always move on to the next topic. I also have Kamakshi just a couple of query specific and also a couple of comments besides that, if you allow me.
Please, yes.
Yeah. So this question actually is to specifically to Dr. Rajeshri ma'am and to Nagaswamy sir, Vasanti ma'am, or anybody else. What we have been noticing, what we were taught, all of us were taught right from the beginning, is that for all cases, not just this one, whenever you go in for a difficult airway or an anticipated airway, you always check the ventilation before you give the muscle relaxant. This was dinned into us, correct? Now, what is happening is in the last few months, what we have been observing outside, at least the foreign guidelines, I think Das is going to come out with this, that they are actually asking you not to do the check ventilation. In fact, go ahead with the muscle relaxant. I think IDA has not come out with that, but this change is coming already in the foreign guidelines. So I'd like to have your comment on the sudden change from what we had been taught for 2 decades. That is one, and I'll come back to the other comments that I had to make a little later, if Dr. Nagaswamy sir or Dr. Rajeshri ma'am have anything to say on this.
So you mean to say that the possibility of mask ventilation is not required? Is that what you are trying to say?
Sir, actually, the point is that right now the guidelines, as they put it, they seem to be saying right now that we were taught, and I think we are still following this, that you check the mask ventilation, and only once you are sure that the mask ventilation is possible, only then proceed with muscle relaxant. But now the foreign guidelines are changing in this respect, and they are saying that give the muscle relaxant, even if you are not sure in all cases, go ahead and give the muscle relaxant, because the muscle relaxant will apparently help you to ventilate. And this is, like I said, it is a foreign one. It is not there in the IDA guideline, but this is coming in the DAS. In all probability, it will be coming in.
Sorry, I have not read about that so far, and I'm not aware of it.
I personally think, even I just saw it. I just saw it in actually only yesterday. I had seen that, and what I personally feel is it may not be a very good suggestion, first of all, and secondly, what they think is you do have other methods of securing the airway, like the LMA and other supraglottic airways and things like that. So they are getting more confident about securing the airway, even if it's not about intubation. So we will be able to ventilate the patient by some other means, even if it is not by intubation. So that is why I think this thing about relaxation has come in. And of course, I think we should use only a short-acting relaxant. Even whatever said and done, I don't think we should go in for any non-depolarizer or things like that. It should be a short-acting muscle relaxant. So that's
right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Probably also their availability of Sugammadex there possibly also might be encouraging them to do things like this, I suppose.
It is better we don't follow it for the time being.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Kamakshi, just a couple of things that...
yeah, I would like to add one more thing to this comment.
Yes.
Actually, whether it is obesity or difficult airway or muscle relaxant or testing ventilation, trial laryngoscopy, whatever it is, the bottom line is always make sure that we are oxygenating the patient. Intubation or LMA or any other gadget or device, that is secondary. Our primary aim should always, I mention it again for our benefit of our PGs, always your bottom line should be, are you continuously oxygenating the patient? Oxygenation is more important than anything else. That's it, sir. Yeah, you can go on with the next point, Dr. Sushil.
Just obviously, the time wasn't sufficient to cover everything, and then the technical issues, of course, stopped it. But when we are coming to particularly bariatric surgery, which we had just started in our center before the corona had stopped everything. So what we were trying to do there was diet, putting a lot of focus on diet, because you have plenty of time to do the weight reductions and so on. So diets with low calorie, or very low calorie diets, and as well as the exercise program, those things help. And intraop, one of the new things that we definitely found was the difficulty in passing the either the gastric anvil or the specialized orogastric tubes that they are using when they are doing the laparoscopic surgeries for bariatric surgery. The passing of that orogastric tube is sometimes not easy, and one often might get into some actually cause even a rupture or something. The dangers always exist. So those are a couple of new things that are probably cropping up. And of course, if you start going to the depths of this, there's possibly a lot of extra things like adjusted body weight is coming in, because apart from the lean body weight that is considered for dosing regulations, we are going in for adjusted body weight, because as we know that the obese patients actually have a higher lean body mass as well. So if we go only by lean body mass, then again we might be actually under calculating. So with adjusted body weight, which is over maybe 20% to 40% over the lean body weight calculated, those are coming into dosages like for antibiotics and perhaps even for the DVT prophylaxis, like the enoxaparin, whether it's whether the patient's over 100 kilo, over, then accordingly we'll have to readjust the requirements of these things. Anyway, thank you very much, sirs, for all the efforts and all the inputs that were given, and hopefully we can have an even longer sessions in future and try to make the session better. We shall certainly make these sessions much better. And thank you once again, Nagasamy sir, Dr. Vasanthi, Dr. Rajeshri, and Kamakshi. Of course, over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sushil, and thank you, my professors and teachers, all my postgraduates. My humble request is my postgraduates should take more advantage of this program and make sure that your audiovisual systems and net connectivity are in proper condition before you log in. And I usually start the meeting half an hour before, so that you can test your audiovisual systems and your connectivity well beforehand itself. And I once again thank all my teachers and professors for this program. And next week topic we will decide today evening, and I'll let you know and circulate the link as early as possible. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you, postgraduates.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah. Can we sign off this meeting? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vasim ma'am. Bye.
Kamakshi.